Okay, what's good, everyone? It's Nigel here, Trinidad Empowerment Network. So the government says the 2026 budget is under control, but the numbers just does not add up. I said to you I will do a deep dive into this budget, but pressing matters. Yesterday I did something else. But let's look at this budget in details. Let's look at this budget in details. The claim, or they claim, a $3.9 billion deficit. A $3.9 billion deficit. Yet the official documents shows almost $19 billion in borrowing. Almost $19 billion in borrowing. That's what the official document shows, right? So what's really going on here? What is really going on here? Let's break it down so everyone understands. But before I unpack all of this, I want you to like and subscribe to Trinidad Empowerment Network. We are growing, and we are growing fast. I want to get to 20,000 subs by Christmas. And the more you like and subscribe, the further these videos reach. So if you are in alignment with the videos I bring you, please just like and subscribe. That's all I ask. Like and subscribe, and that helps the channel to grow. So in the speech, they said revenue of $55 billion. However, spending was set at $59 billion. So by my maths, that means a $3.9 billion gap. But the printed estimates, this is where everything gets a bit murky. The printed estimates, the real budget says revenue of $53 billion. Revenue of $53 billion and spending of $62 billion. That's almost a $19 billion deficit. They will need to borrow $19 billion, essentially. $19 billion. That's a big difference from $3.9 billion. So it's either the minister is underreported the shortfall, they've either underreported the shortfall, or the government is quietly taking on far more debt. And guess what happens when the government takes on debt? Someone has to pay for it. And guess who generally pays for that debt? Yes, you are putting two and two together, my 10 family, my 10 audience. You know who is going to pay for that debt. So let's start with oil and gas. Something that Trinidad and Tobago over-relies on in an undiverse economy. Oil and gas is what we rely on. And of course, because we rely on oil and gas, the budget is essentially based on oil and gas. So the whole budget depends on the oil and gas prices, essentially. The entire budget. They built the budget assuming oil sells. And they assume that oil sells for this price, $73 a barrel, and gas sells for $4 or $4.35. Now, if those prices fall, and right now it looks like it will, they are lower, then the country earns less. It's really that simple. If the prices fall, the country earns less. Less income means more borrowing. That's as much as I can simplify it for you. Less income means more borrowing. And when the government needs to borrow more, well, that means hardship for you. That means hardship for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Essentially, we want to avoid borrowing. We don't want to borrow ever. Because when you borrow, you pay back more. When you borrow, you pay back more. And if the government is not borrowing from another country or borrowing from another bank, they're taking it from you. Right? So, let's talk about the main areas that the government is investing the budget in. Number one is education. $8.8 billion is being invested in education. $8.8 billion. For health, just slightly less, $8.2 billion in health. National security, that's a further $6.3 billion from my recollection. Utilities, $3.4 billion, there or thereabout. And infrastructure was $1.9 billion. And that's essentially how the vast majority of the budget has been allocated. Now, the real question here is, for me, And this is a question you have to ask yourselves as citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. We have to ask ourselves, will the money actually reach where it's supposed to be? Will it reach the schools? Will it reach the hospitals? Will it reach the communities? Or will it disappear, as it has done, in red tape? Will it disappear in contracts? This is crucial. This is crucial. The money has been allocated, but where is the money going? Where is the money going? We need transparency and we need to know. So here is what looks good for the public. As you know, I bring you fair and unbiased, well, whatever you want to call it. This podcast is, I try to keep it fair and unbiased, irregardless of what the naysayers say, but we don't care about them. Here's some good news for the public, and here's a popular one. Everyone talks about it. Super gasoline drops by $1, $1 a litre. Way, bravo. Yeah, celebrate. Go out and pop champagne. $1. Some basic food items like salt and Morbi. You like a bit of Morbi, you drink some, you're getting some drop Morbi and coconut water as well, and local fruits and veg. No VAT. I don't know when it starts, by the way, but no VAT apparently. Private pensions. Well, at least it won't be taxed. It would not be taxed until, 2026, which is only a few months away. Yeah. Farmers get a tax break. That's good. On equipment and feed. That's very good, because we know the farming industry needs a massive injection in Trinidad and Tobago. We know it. Importing 80% of our food from America is a travesty. Used car import. The age has been extended to 6 years. So, probably get a bunch of bangers in Trinidad. If you want foreign bangers, then you're going to get some extra cars. That's probably a good thing for car dealerships. And so far, fair relief, it appears, for ordinary people. So it's been dressed up as. So, the takeaways. I'm going to simplify the takeaways. What is the takeaway in this budget? Like the Prime Minister said in one of her infamous videos, there are some goodies and there are not some good goodies, or whatever nonsense. It's embarrassing. That's the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. There are some goodies and there are not so good goodies. What? In any case, let's talk about what the government is taking back, because that's very important. What are they taking back? Because every giveaway has to be paid for somewhere. Every giveaway will be paid for. Nothing comes for free in this life. I say sometimes they rob Peter to pay Paul. In this case, they're certainly doing that. So, banks and insurance companies. A new small tax on their assets. A new small tax on banks and insurance companies. But guess what? Banks don't lose money. They are the expert at money. You know this. They will pass that cost on to who? To you. Whether it be through higher fees or loan rates, you be paying more on your loan. They will make their money back. They're the experts. They say, well, government, make it look good. You do this to us. Guess what we're going to do? We're going to pass that on to the consumers. We're going to pass that charge back on to the consumers in some way, shape, or form. Whether it be through APR, higher loan rates, etc., etc. Number two is the landlords. Everyone bragging about the landlords. Landlords must now register and pay a yearly charge. So they have to register and pay a yearly charge. 2.5% if rent is under 20,000, from my recollection. 2.5% if rent is under 20,000 a year. And 3.5%, if I can get my words out, 3.5% if rent is over 20,000 a year. Expect landlords to raise rents. Expect them to raise rents to cover it, because that's what they do. I mean, it's only natural, isn't it? They're not going to absorb it. Most landlords are going to raise rent. Let's look at business and electricity bill. Every commercial user pays 5 cents more per kilowatt. Now that means higher shop and factory cost, which usually ends up in higher prices for you, the consumers. Again, these people are not going to absorb these prices. They're going to pass it on to you. They're going to pass it on to you in some way, shape, or form. The luxury electric vehicle expenses, imported EV electric vehicles, are now taxed. This only affects the wealthy. I mean, I ain't got an electric vehicle. Have you got an electric vehicle? Well done. Electric vehicles are now taxed. Bravo. Man. Single-use plastics, a small import tax to push recycling. That's a good thing because we should recycle. It's good for the environment, of course. We should recycle. But that's a very minor impact now. We're not going to see any impact from that right now. But that's a good thing. We need to save the environment. We need to recycle a heck of a lot more. This is the sixth one, I think. Returning nationals. Returning nationals. No more duty-free car, or the benefit you get from the duty-free car. No more when moving back to the island of your birth. So returning nationals, you're cooked, essentially. National insurance, NIS. Everybody who works will contribute an extra 3%. Starting in 2026, which is only a few months away. Starting in 2026, you will contribute an extra 3%. And starting in 2027, you will contribute an extra 3%, so that's 6%. The retirement age will move from 60 to 65. We're all living longer, apparently, over time. 65. Apparently, this is necessary to save, to save whatever it is, but it means working longer. Who wants to work longer? It means working longer before collecting your pension. Nobody wants to do that. I don't want to work till I'm 65. I want to retire now. So yes, you have a little little saving at the pump and maybe the supermarket, but you are likely to pay more everywhere else. That's essentially what the budget is. And whether it be through rent, through bills, or deductions from your pay, the 6% that's coming, they're robbing Peter to pay Paul. So you think you're getting something here. In actual fact, when you look at the budget as a whole, it kind of balances out. You are not getting anything. So anyone trying to sell this to you as good, I don't see much good in this budget. As I anticipated, pre-budget, I dropped the video pre-budget, and I told you this was going to come. And I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news. I hate it. Believe me, I hate it. But that is the truth. And as we do here on Trinidad Empowerment Network, we bring you the truth. So the government says, they also said they will monitor, they will monetize assets. They will monetize assets, not sell them. They will monetize it by creating a real estate investment trust, a REIT, as they call it. They would do so by selling units on the stock exchange, on the stock market. That's their plan. The idea is they're allegedly launching a new national investment fund, a bond for the public. And it sounds great. A new national investment fund bond for the public. But even with those plans, I remind you that the official accounts, it still shows a $19 billion shortfall, $19 billion in potential borrowing. So the debt essentially is still rising. The debt is still rising. So Trinidad and Tobago, Trinidad Empowerment Network viewers, here is the bigger picture here. Here is the bigger picture. And it's not a pretty one. I try to break this down as best as I can so you can understand, as I do here on 10. But the bigger picture essentially is debt. If we look at debt and how much debt we are in, the total debt is around 140 billion. That's the total debt, around 140 billion. That's significant. That's about 82%, about 82% by my maths of everything the country produces. Now, foreign reserves is apparently foreign reserve is just about 4.6 billion US, right? And that's enough to cover 5 months of imports. Now, that's dangerously low, meaning if the dollar runs short, prices rise and Forex becomes even harder to find. So, So I'm going to conclude by talking about. I'm going to conclude by talking about the winners and losers here. The winners and losers. That's what you really want to know. The winners and losers here. So the winners from this budget, and I want to be fair and balanced here, because of course I'm going to get the naysayers come on and criticize and say you're this and blah blah blah, whatever. I don't particularly care. But the winners here are the drivers, obviously using super. You're saving $1. Yeah, right. So you're winning. Pensioners with a private plan, farmers to an extent, potentially, and consumers buying local produce like salt and Morby, because no VAT. Yeah. The losers are the banks, who will obviously pass that cost on to the customers, the landlords, who will pass the cost on to their renters, small businesses with higher light bills, they will pass that on to you, the consumers, and every worker paying more NIS. As you know, NIS is set to rise by 6% between now and 2027. So the pros and cons of this budget, as I conclude, the pros and cons of this budget, and thank you if you stay to the end, because this is not the most exciting topic, as you know, but I know the 10 viewers are interested in what I have to say about it and what the budget entails. So thank you for staying to the end. So the pros, I would say some real relief for families and pensioners. I'm clutching at straws here, guys. So you're going to have to bear with me. There is some real relief for families and pensioners. There are some steps to keep the NIS alive, I suppose, which kind of encourages investment through a new bond. I said I'm clutching at straws. The cons here is the maths ain't mathsing. The math just doesn't match. It doesn't add up. Joking aside, 3.9 billion versus 19 billion borrowing. Clearly, it doesn't add up. Oil and gas numbers is way too optimistic. We are, as you know, over-reliant on oil and gas. If oil and gas prices are affected and it goes down, the economy is affected massively, and we are in deeper debt. We're in deeper trouble. The debt and foreign exchange, that pressure is still growing. I just explained why the debt is growing, because we are reliant on oil and gas. If oil and gas prices are affected, we suffer. These new charges are likely to be passed on to or passed down to the public, right? You know that the rent and everything else, you say it's, the bills are for the light bills only going up for commercial consumers, but these commercial consumers are going to pass prices on to you. They're not going to absorb all of this. So as much as they dress it up and say it's not you, the taxpayers, it's commercial properties. Well, when you go to buy stuff from the shop, from the commercial properties, they're going to pass the prices on to you, Mr. Tanko. Let's not try to fool people here. People are not stupid. Come on. So where is there such a big difference between, or why is there such a big difference, between the speech and the official books? That's the question you need to ask your local government. Why is there such a big difference between the speech and what's written on paper, the books? The second one is, how will government stop banks? How will they stop banks and landlords from pushing up prices? How will they stop banks from passing on the price, whether it be through loans? How would they stop the landlords from passing on the increase they face through their rent, which is what they are going to do? When will VAT really end? When will the VAT? When will the new sales, this new relief, this new sales tax begin? When will it begin? We have no idea. They haven't given us a date. Essentially, I'm waffling a bit here, but that's the reality. And finally, what's the plan to rebuild foreign reserves? What is a plan to rebuild foreign reserves in Trinidad and Tobago? These are the questions you should be asking. Take note and go and ask your local MP. And then finally, I would say another question you should ask is, how will workers manage higher NIS? How will they manage this higher NIS of 6% that's coming? 3% in 2026 and 3% in 2027. And of course, the higher retirement age, that's also coming. 65, moving from 60 to 65 gradually. That is the plan. So you pay more for longer and for the same amount, essentially, all in accordance with inflation, of course. So the retirement age is going up to 65 over time. That is the plan. That's in the budget. So listen, this isn't about politics, our Trinidad Empowerment Network. This isn't about politics. It's about the truth. It's about the truth in the numbers. The government says one thing and the book shows something else, essentially. The government says one thing and the books shows something else. Borrowing kind of keeps rising. Borrowing keeps rising. The reserves, that keeps falling. And for the most part, the middle class keeps paying for it, as per usual. The middle class pays for it. So I would say if we really want change, and just my opinion, if we really want change, we must first understand where the money really goes. That's not the difficult one. We must understand where the money is being spent, where the money really goes. We need transparency. We really need transparency in Trinidad and Tobago, and we need it now. So that's my take. I've taken your time for long enough. I want you to like and subscribe to Trinidad Empowerment Network, and tell me in the comments, does this budget truly help the working class? Does it really help working people? Or is it just more debt? Is it just more debt dressed up as progress? Is it more debt dressed up as progress? And that's what I believe it is. Because they're literally robbing Peter to pay Paul. I've made that clear to you now. I hope you understand a bit better what the budget entails. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on my next video. For now, much love, God bless, take care, peace.